Greetings Guardians, my name is Bife here. So Lightfall and the reveal that Bungie just did, well, it went down quite a storm, and I won't lie when I say that it was nothing close to what I was expecting. I still think it's fantastic, but I certainly wasn't expecting the Blade Runner meets Mass Effect Ilum kind of vibe, and frankly, I'm actually really pleased with that. The whole thing has a great vaporwave and neon punk vibe to it. I love that look. It reminds me of the best bits of the Season of the Splicer, but cleaner and a lot less gritty, though doubtless the subject matter is, by its very nature, going to be very dark. With Lightfall's reveal, we've learned a ton of new lore tidbits, including things that we could never have guessed about before, so I wanted to take this time in this video to go through all of them and talk a little bit more about the bits and pieces that we've learned so far as the lore and story is concerned for Lightfall. So, first of all, Lightfall brings us to a new destination that has never before been properly named in Destiny. It is set on Neptune and it is a city. Another Last City. But it's not called the Last City, this is Neomuna. This is a city that was established after the collapse and was ultimately saved from destruction by its inhabitants who have taken great sacrifices to defend and hide it from the rest of the system. However, for those who were attentive, you may have probably found that there were a few little hints to the idea that Neomuna existed before we even knew its name and before Lightfall was even revealed here. Take for example this little nugget of information from the 2 Lies and 2 Truths that Savathun was constantly telling us.
I want to play a game. 2 lies, 2 truths. The Pyramid Blade is one key to defeating the Witness. The Witness seeks the final shape, and the final shape is nothing. The last city is not the last city. The Witness will build its army on Mars. This one's tricky. Let's see if you can crack it.
So yeah, as it turns out, the Last City is not the Last City. Looks like we need a new name. Of course, there were also hints, such as how Rasputin deleted all records from his logs, referencing a place called Nephele Stronghold, which could well have been a reference to the destination of Neomuna. And it is said that Ephrodite was supposed to have ventured out far into the reaches of the system to a colony of pacifist guardians out beyond the Kuiper Belt, which granted is further away than Neptune. It's actually way further away, like double the distance of where Neptune is from the Sun almost, but you know, it's worth remembering that even though it's beyond the bounds of the system, it does kind of prove the point that it is possible for humanity to have made a colony and have it be self-sufficient even after the collapse out this far. So, what is Neomuna? Well, according to the reveal, Neomuna was established after the collapse and essentially is another city that was built with the same ideas and optimism that existed in the Golden Age. During the collapse in particular, a ship was fleeing the inner system but was able to escape. This is something that is remarkable because from the asteroid belt all the way out to the outer reaches of the system at Saturn, there is this great series of terrifying fleet wrecks that you can find all over the place. These are all remnants of the ships that tried to flee the system during the collapse, and it is said that none of them made it. But apparently, it's not the entire story, as a single ship was able to flee during the collapse, arrive at Neptune, and establish the city of Neomuna. In this place, an alternate version of humanity bloomed, and a massive metropolis began to appear. They prepared actively for a second collapse, and with this in mind, they needed their own protectors. Enter the Cloud Striders. Cloud Striders are volunteers who decided to undergo a process of cybernetic augmentation which both empowered and crippled them. Humanity in the time of Destiny is used to a lifespan that can go as long as 300 years. Cloud Striders shorten that to no more than a decade by undergoing their augmentation, but they gain remarkable power as a trade-off for such a sacrifice. This speaks to their pure belief in Neomuna, which is a place that they have believed is worth protecting all their lives and therefore have undergone this particularly grueling task and this incredible sacrifice as a choice of their own volition. Again, it's worth pointing that out because, in a certain sense, they're a foil to the Guardians. We are practically immortal. We are not invincible, but we will live forever given that our ghosts will continue to resurrect us. And we have a very spiritual and interconnected view of the universe and light, and the way that we fight our battles is one that is very cosmic. They, in a certain sense, are the total opposite of us. They live short lives to be empowered, and the way that they do things is more brutalist, and is honestly a little franker with the world. They understand that great sacrifices have to be made for the good of their people, and in a way it makes them almost more heroic than us. They chose to sacrifice. We were given power and were chosen. We had no sacrifice of our own volition, and we, in a strange way, are almost less brave than they are. And honestly, they are also granted some significant power from those augmentations, because apparently they are huge, beefy warriors that are well over 6 foot tall. The one example of the character that we see in the art for Lightfall is a character called Nimbus, a Cloud Strider that inevitably we will go ahead and see. That is thanks to the Destiny and Bungie press room where they name the character as Nimbus. Now, the tech that allows the Cloud Striders to do all of this is based on nanotechnology. I know what you're thinking, but hold your horses if you're a lore veteran. This is probably not the nanotechnology that we've encountered before in Destiny, aka SIVA. We can tell this thanks to the Quicksilver Storm auto rifle that you get from pre-ordering Lightfall. You can pick it up at the Cryptarch if you have actually gotten that. Basically, it says that SIVA is the closest kind of technology that we can compare to the Quicksilver Storm, and therefore the Cloud Strider technology of the Neomuna Defenders. It's something that is far more advanced than SIVA. So it's going to be really interesting because aside from anything else, if it's more fluid and refined than what SIVA was, that speaks to how technologically advanced the people of Neomuna really are. SIVA was a terrifying tool when it was repurposed by the Elixni, and it was one of humanity's most advanced tools for exploration and creation in the Golden Age, so much so that colony ships were loaded up with it in the Exodus program. However, this is supposedly more advanced, so who knows what a Cloud Strider wielding this tech at its full power is capable of. And speaking of new powers, we have another huge bit of lore that got dropped, which is the new subclass that we will be able to fight with, and the new power, a darkness power that is not related to nanite tech, but is also something that I think nobody truly expected. Strand. Strand is a power of darkness, which of course makes it special because it's our second darkness subclass. But why is it more special? Because prior to the Guardian, no one in the universe has ever discovered Strand before. Not us, not the Witness, not the Hive, not any other being. That is directly from the words of Bungie developers on the livestream. This is a unique power that we tap into, and it's something that we now get to make use of. So what is the identity of Strand? Well, despite the fact that it glows really nice and green, it is actually not poison. I had betted on a blight element, tying in things like Thorn and Osteostriga to the elemental pool and giving us a new element in that sense, but no, apparently it's not anything to do with that. Strand will be its own element type, and it will also allow you to pick up exotics and legendaries that manipulate Strand energy, but it's nothing to do with poison. It is darkness based, but it's much more pulling from those themes that the darkness is known for now thanks to Witch Queen, those being psychic energy, memory and consciousness, and all the other things such as Deep Sight, which were showed to us in the Witch Queen campaign. Deep Sight is a powerful tool that allows us to tap into the psychic echoes of the universe and to see memories of the past. But behind the scenes, there is this weave of energy that stretches across the entire universe, and that energy is what you tap into with Strand. This isn't just mumbo-jumbo either, it actually has gameplay implications and justifications too. The grappling hook is the best example of this. It gives you the ability to traverse different areas, and that's great, but essentially in order to do that you need to latch the grappling hook onto something. Well, here's the thing. You do latch it onto things, just not within our dimension. The object of grappling to something is obviously to hold on to something with a grapple and then move based on all of the momentum that you will gain. The thing is, you're not grappling to a physical object in our dimension necessarily, you're grappling to something within the psychic threads of Strand. which means that you can grapple onto something that is physically not there, and essentially grapple to nothing in midair. That is the implication of Strand. You are able to pull psychic energy and use those threads to create something new. It is something that is truly expressed best, I think, through the Warlock subclass, the Architect, which according to the Bungie.net marketing page, gives them the abilities of telekinetic manipulation and also the ability to summon minions that will fight for them. Also keep in mind that you have the Titan and Hunter subclasses that are respectively known as the Tyrant for the Titan and the Threadrunner for the Hunter, and the entire identity of the subclass is much more about peeling the curtain away and revealing the unseen, tapping into the cosmic web that connects us all and drawing a new kind of darkness power from that web. Also in this expansion, the forces of the Witness, well, they're back in full force, and you will predominantly be facing Calus. Calus has taken his portion of the Witness's fleet and has besieged Neomuna, and he has brought with him a new kind of cabal, his loyalists, now known as the Shadow Legion. Shadow Legion cabal are kind of similar to the typical cabal, of course. They will fight in a similar way, but they have been augmented with pyramid technology, some of which has the ability to suppress your powers, meaning that they will present new combat challenges. But they're not alone either, because for the first time, we're going to be fighting against some of the Witness's own core forces. Enter the Tormentors, massive, hulking boss units that we'll be fighting that come directly from the Witness's army. If you're looking at them as an analog to the Hive Guardians of Witch Queen, then I think that's the correct frame of mind. They have pyramid tech abilities, they wield massive scythes, they can use them as projectiles, they can go in for grabs against you, and generally they act as bosses that anchor encounters in just the same way that Hive Guardians do in Witch Queen. They are a further evolution by the looks of things to the ailing point of saying, we're not quite happy with champion design and the lock and key design that Destiny has fallen into. They are also menacing and are heralds of the Witness's doom, just like Calus is. Calus and his forces within the Shadow Legion and the Tormentors have turned Neomuna into a war zone at the behest of the Witness and have set down in its city, cordoning it off. It is practically speaking under their control, up until the point at which we, and probably the Cloudstriders, have something to say about it. However, they won't be taking the city without a fight, just based on the Cloudstriders' abilities alone, because as it turns out, they have been working and fighting for Neomuna for a long time, dealing with Neptune's own resident Vex problem. Yep, they're here as well. Do you know what? I really hope the Vex eventually do get a character, just like in that one video I stated. It'd be real nice if they weren't just these robotic pests that turned up every once in a while in different locations. Speaking of people with Vex problems though, thanks to Lightfall's marketing page on Bungie.net, we can see that Osiris is back, and this probably then implies that he's a character that will be helping to guide us in our mastery of our Strand powers. If I had to think of any other characters, I'd think that Nimbus, the Cloudstrider that's also featured on the art, would probably also be the one in question who is guiding us. These two figures are beings that will be able to help us down this road, but remember, seeing as we are the first beings to ever wield these powers, there's only so much they'll be able to do to help. We will have to discover a lot for ourselves. I think also Osiris represents this really unique story beat, where he's essentially going to be pushing this idea of what is it like to be a Guardian without the light, and comparing him to a Cloudstrider gives us a really interesting idea that we can shape the world of Destiny around, and it tells us that no, you don't need to necessarily be a Guardian to be a hero. There are other ways of demonstrating heroism, which is going to be really interesting to see. I really want to see that conversation play out. Finally, I think it's worth going over the words said by Calus and the Witness in the trailer for Lightfall, because I think it's very easy to get caught up in the music and the drama and to not really take in the message. Take a listen. Calus says, "When they see this glorious end, they will come for us, to savor the fruitless trouble to its last drop. It's who they are." The Witness then replies, "Let them come and see our shape revealed. What they do then, unshackled from hope, that is who they are. Because only in the end are we free." This to me speaks to the idea that Callus and the Witness are planning for the end of the world, and they know it, and essentially they see the ascension of the final shape at hand, and believe that in that moment we will be helpless, and that our true stakes will be revealed. That is the moment at which we will have our fight, fright, or flight responses truly shown to them, and where our true motivations and loyalties will lie. This is the moment at which our resolve might be broken, and it might force us into desperation, despair, or, in their best case scenario, servitude. What comes next is yet to be seen, and what would force us into such a place is unknown, but dark things lie on the horizon. I only wonder if there is another city that might still be under siege in the story of Lightfall. As we learn more and more about the lore and story of Lightfall, you can expect more content on the channel. For now though, be sure to keep an eye out for all the stuff arriving on the channel soon, relevant to the Season of the Plunder. All of that stuff is going to be releasing in the next few days. You can expect various different updates on things such as King's Fall, the new Fallen pirate lore that we've gotten, as well as some of the old hints to it, and all sorts of interesting new stuff from throughout the season. It's going to be a really interesting time, and I cannot wait to cover all of this for you. So if you want to catch up on all that content, remember to hit subscribe. And of course, if you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments section down below. I can go ahead and I can see if I can dig up anything further, but you should let me know, because ultimately that's how I know how to best make my videos, is audience feedback. I was asking for it on Twitter earlier, so if you have any ideas, let me know. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like, and as per usual, know that your viewership is quite enough for me. And that in the meantime, my name is Byf. Per audacia ad astra. I'll see you, Starside.